Let's take a look at how to import files into Harmony. These files might be artwork that you've already prepared, or a reference that you want to use to make your drawings in Harmony. So to import files, you just come up to File, Import. Your first option is to import from a scanner. I'm not actually going to scan anything right now, but these options here will be the same as on importing an image, which is what we'll look at next. So to import an image, we come up to File, Import again, and choose Images. You can see the first option here is our Browse button to find our file. I'm going to import this landscape here. The next options here are for layers. We can either create a new layer and give it a name, whatever name we want, or we can automatically create a layer based on the file name. Let's go ahead and give it our own name. I'll just call it Lake, that's good. You can see there is an option grayed out here, Add to Existing Layer. The reason this is grayed out is because there's no bitmap layers currently in my timeline already. If there were, I'd have the option to choose from them on this dropdown. But we want to create it on a new layer. This Create Symbol option will create a symbol in our library. A symbol is a reusable piece of art, so if we wanted to use this image over and over again, that might be a good idea, but we're just going to use it once since it's a big background. Next here we have our import options. To show you guys what these do, I'm going to have to import this image several times. We're going to start by importing it with Keep as an Original Bitmap selected. With that selected, we also have more options down here for alignment. The first option on this list is Fit. If we choose Fit, it's going to try to scale the image to fit within our scene. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, let's see what the other options do. If I choose Pan, so here it's fit the image to the height of the scene, and then since the image is landscape, it's panned it off to the right. If this image were vertical, it would be going up the top. I'm going to undo that. Come back to Import. And now let's try setting it to Project Resolution. So what it's done here is it's compared the resolution of the image and the resolution of our scene and tried to scale down the image to match appropriately. I'm going to undo that as well. Then I'm going to come back and import again. So I think in the case of this image, Pan might be best, since that's probably what this image is intended for. I'm going to go ahead and import it. Now since we chose Keep as Original Bitmap when we imported, the icon on our layer looks like this. And you'll notice we can't grab or interact with this layer with any of our tools. We can, however, still use our layer transform tools to move the whole layer itself. So let's look at what happens if we use a different option. Let's try Import as Toon Boom Bitmap Drawing. So here we can see that our options here have changed. These options are a little more straightforward. Horizontal Fit will make it scale it down so that it fits horizontally. Vertical Fit will make it fit vertically. And Actual Size will just import the bitmap at its normal resolution. In this case, I think we want Vertical Fit. You can see it scaled the image so that its height matches the height of our scene. And now, on the timeline, you can see we have a regular drawing layer icon. And we can also select and interact with this as if it were a regular drawing layer. So when you import a bitmap, you need to decide whether you want to be able to treat it as a Toon Boom drawing and edit it using the editing tools, or whether you want it to just be a static image that you can move but not edit. I'm going to get rid of this layer so I can show you the other options with a different drawing. Let's come up to File, Import Images again. Now in this case, I'm going to browse for a different image. This one here. So again, I think we want to create another layer. I'm just going to call the layer Elf. And then now in this case, I'm going to try the Convert to Toon Boom Vector Drawing option. This option is essentially a way to automatically ink your drawings. What it's going to do is look for all the black in our image and convert those into editable vector lines. And then it's going to remove the white. If we chose this gray option, it would try to convert the blacks into lines and then preserve any gray values as a bitmap layer underneath. I've found that doesn't work very well, so I would stick with just using this on black and white line art. Let's give it a try. It looks like it did a pretty good job. We can see it's dropped out the white, and it's turned our lines into editable vectors. So if we wanted to, we could come in and start coloring right away. So if you do your art on paper, or just like to use a different program to do your line art, you can easily bring it into Toon Boom this way, and it's almost as if you had drawn it in the program. The other type of image I wanted to go over with you is images with transparency. So if I come up to File, Import, Images, and then Browse, I have this fire PNG with a transparent background. I'm just going to create a single layer named Fire, and I'm going to import as a Toon Boom bitmap drawing. Vertical fit is fine, but now we also need to consider our transparency settings. This determines how Toon Boom is going to handle the semi-transparent pixels around the edge of the actual image. For the most part, I think you're just going to want to go with straight. If for some reason that ends up not looking good, you can try one of the other options. But for me, straight has always worked. There we go. So we've got our fire in our scene, and it's got a nice transparent background. So the next thing to go over is importing multiple images. So we come to File, Import, Images, and then I browse. In this folder, I have a background that's made up of several different layers. What I can do is use Shift-click to select them all. And then what I want to do is create layers based on file names. This will put each of those images on its own layer. I want to import as Toon Boom bitmap drawings, and I want them to be actual size. And then I want the alpha to be straight. So then if I do that, there we go. It imported everything perfect. And each of those is on its own layer. The other option for importing multiple images is to import them as an image sequence. So if I come up to File, Import, Images, I can browse, and in this folder, I have a series of images that make up an animation. If I use Shift-click to select them all, and then click Open, in this case, I want to create a single layer so that it will put them all on that single layer. So I'll call this Panda. I still want to keep them as Toon Boom bitmaps, and I want them to be actual size, and I want the transparency straight. So now if I hit OK, so now you can see it's placed each image on a frame of the timeline. If we play our timeline, we can see that the animation plays. And remember, if we need to reposition or adjust this character, we want to make sure to use the Reposition All Drawings tool. If we just tried to move him once, it would only move on that frame. So that's what this tool is for. Now if we move him, and let's say scale him up, it will have changed all the subsequent drawings accordingly. Something that works similarly to importing an image sequence is importing a movie file. If I come to File, I have the option to import movie. Now it does need to be a QuickTime MOV file, like this one here. So if I open that, it's going to process all the frames. And then you can see it's giving us the Import Images option again. This is because what it's basically done is take every frame of the movie file and make it into an image sequence. So we definitely want it all on one layer. I'm going to call it Archer. And then just like before, and actually in this case I'm going to keep as original bitmap, and I'm going to have it fit it to the scene. And there we go. You can see it's put the sound from the video on a layer, and then it's just created an image sequence for the video itself. So if you needed to import some reference footage to use for your animation, this is a great way to be able to go through it frame by frame and do your drawings. In the next video, we're going to look at importing from other programs like Photoshop and Illustrator.